Why would this be worth $200,000, the Olympic gold medal, and not its intrinsic metal value of about $1,000? Hi, if you don't know me, I'm Jean-Paul. I do high and fine jewelry right here in New York City, and I've had a career of mass producing high quality jewelry. I've manufactured for David Yurman, I've manufactured for Tiffany & Co., and now I do this for myself. Let's deep dive into all things the Olympic gold medal and give you a proper understanding of how it's made and why it would cost $200,000 if I made it for you. The Olympic Committee actually have minimum requirements, so every time a city gets the Olympics, they have to have a minimum requirement of the diameter, the thickness, and the metal fineness and the weight. So the Parisian gold medal has a little piece of the Eiffel Tower, which is pretty cool. Actually, on a project I worked on previously, we looked at getting a part of the Statue of Liberty and using a bit of that for a design project. And so they've done the same sort of thing here. They've taken a repaired part, they've removed something that was rusting or whatever, and then they've stored it, and then the Olympic Committee's bought that, and then they've CNC machined it and laser engraved the centerpiece, and they've set it kind of like a diamond with tiny little claws, which I love. The gold medal is 6 grams of pure gold. It's plated over sterling silver. The sterling silver is a casting that is stamped. This is all coinage. This is done with the Paris Mint. The cost of the gold one is about $1,000, just under. If you amortize the labor, the tooling, and the dyeing, I'd put it at about $1,500. I think there's about 5,000 medals made. So this whole piece is cast as a slug of silver, and then it's all copper for the bronze medal, and then that is pushed into, this is a coin die. You have a male and a female part, or the heads and tails part, and they basically press a lug of metal. Usually for most coins we're familiar with, it's basically a slug that's stamped out of a piece of plate, so the weight is perfect. That's really critical when it comes to coining. But because of how undulated this is and the thickness, my guess is it's probably a casting, because I don't think you would press all of that detail and get a nice release. So my gut is that's actually a casting that's put in there and then stamped. But I could be wrong. If you're a coin person out there and you know the absolute truth to this matter, tell me if it's punched from a slug of metal or if it's from a casting. The coin design aspect, which I love, is done in clay sometimes. A lot of the time it is now done in CAD. However, it often starts depending on the designer, and usually for the Olympics or really any coin, it's a competition. Lots of artists submit their work. It would likely, 100% would start on paper first, and then it would go to a CAD designer, a really talented one who could actually create those curves. There's a lot of software modeling for the release, the molding angles, because if you press down with the dies, you don't want the piece to get stuck in there, and you don't want hammer marks to knock it out, so it actually has to release. So there's quite a lot of thinking, and the art form of portraiture with a mint pressed face is really difficult because you don't have a lot to work with. You can't use paint to give yourself depth and tone, so it's really quite a skill. Once upon a time, it was all hand engraved, and they still have hand engravers at the US Mint. I do know that for a fact. I had one visit the shop, which is really fun. But typically now it's all CNC milled. So you design it in CAD, or you might do the whole thing in clay, and then you would scan it and you would bring that into CAD, computer-aided design, and then you would CNC mill out the entire piece. Then you would go back in with a master craftsperson and you would polish, you would hand cut, and you would do all the final touches by hand. So why would I price it at $200,000 if I was going to make this for you? So I didn't even get to the best bit. If you took the 525 grams plus the 6 grams of silver, so plus 6 grams of gold, and you converted that into 18 karat gold, you'd be looking at about close to $80,000 of gold. And then the time it would take to design, I actually really like this. This is clearly a photocopy or like a print that they've gone over and repainted. That doesn't look like a sketch. This is a little better. These are concept sketches. So to ask a designer to design a male and female side of a coin, which is quite large, would take an awful long time. This is at least a year project, I would think, for a mint. So you've got to design it, you've got to get a bunch of different ideas, pick the one that you like, model it, design it, make a tool and die, and then do a production run. So if I was doing a one-off and I had to do this for a client, my cost of making the brick itself is going to be about $80,000, let alone a year of staff and salary to actually do this and all of the time involved to produce something this quality. It's really intense and involved, but the result is beautiful, and it's going to last these people for generations to come. Hope everyone enjoyed the Olympics. Talk soon.